Texas A&M quarterback Conner Weigman is one of the most intriguing quarterback prospects entering the 2024 season. We've seen him play sparingly. We saw him play in 2022. We saw him play in 2023, but not a full season, right? He came on and started the last few games of the 2022 season and showed some promising things. Then he showed promising things at the beginning of last year in 2023 before he got hurt. So let's talk about Weigman. Let's talk about his profile overall. What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? And I think before we dive into this overview of Conner Weigman, I think there's still a lot of question marks. I think there's a lot of things up in the air about Weigman's game. We know he was a high recruit. He was a guy that a lot of A&M fans, just to be honest, people a lot smarter than me in this college football world were really excited about. And so because of that, I'm still excited about seeing his potential. I think he has a lot of potential with Klein's offense. So let's talk about his play style. Let's talk about his strengths. Let's talk about his improvement areas. And what does the 2024 outlook look like for Conner Weigman? And real quick, before we keep diving in, if this is your first time tuning in the channel, we talk all things college quarterback. So if that's kind of your thing, if that's kind of your niche, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking. All right, play style. What kind of play style can you expect from Conner Weigman? Well, I think he's a pocket passer first and foremost. He wants to sit in the pocket. He wants to dissect the defense apart. But with that said, he's a much better athlete than people realize. And we put out several film breakdowns of Weigman displaying his athleticism. Right, he's a much better athlete than people realize, and I think he can use his legs to hurt you if schemed up the right way. But first and foremost, he wants to stay in the pocket. He wants to deliver the ball from the pocket. However, he can make any throw in the field. He can use has an ability to throw from off platform, to use any arm angle ability. I think it's that baseball background. And again, like some of the film breakdowns that we showed, that comes in handy, especially with the offense like Colin Klein, like what Klein is bringing. I think, and I've talked about this in older videos, I think Klein can really maximize Weigman's potential because it can utilize his strengths, which is his ability to throw from the pocket, his ability to use his strong arm, but it can also maximize his maybe underrated ability. That's his athleticism, that's his legs, and then his ability just to throw from any kind of slot position. And I think at that same time, I think Weigman can maximize Klein's potential as a play caller. Last year at Kansas State, yeah, Klein had Will Howard, but there were some limitations. They didn't take a lot of deep shots. The yards per attempt, maybe that 7 range. So the field was limited. I think now with a quarterback like Weigman, I think Klein's offense can develop and can be maximized, and they can be able to take those deep shots. We saw in 2023, we saw Weigman take more deep shots. Granted, it wasn't against the top competition, but he took more deep shots in 2023 compared to 2022. All right, 2022, just to go over the profile, I think it was maybe 4 games. I may be slightly off, but his yards per attempt were 6.8. Compared to 2023, it was 8.2. His completion percentage was 55.3 in 2022. Compared to in 2023, it was 68.9. His TD to interceptions was 8-0 in 2022, so pretty damn good. And then in 2023, it was 8 TDs to 2 picks and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So good numbers, but you saw the improvement from 2022 to 2023. Now, the argument in 2023 is, well, the only real good team he faced was Miami, and they weren't even a great team. And I get it, but still, the data that he had to go by, or the amount of games he played, there wasn't a huge sample size. Was it game 4 he got hurt against Auburn, I believe, if I'm not mistaken? So wasn't a huge sample size, but with a small sample size, we did see improvements. We saw improvements in the yards per attempt, and we saw improvements in his accuracy and completion percentage. I think that just comes from being more comfortable in a college system. All right, so we talked about Weigman. We talked about his kind of his profile, what he's good at, how he can maximize Klein's offense, and how Klein can maximize Weigman's potential. What are his strengths? What are some strengths that Weigman has? Now, granted, we talked about that is not a huge sample size, but with his sample size, what we've seen so far, we've seen the ability to improve. We see the ability to be coached up and take the next steps, like we talked about in the numbers from 2022 to 2023. His athleticism, his off-platform throws, and his arm strength was on full display last year until he got hurt. So what does that mean if we're going to talk about 5 or 6 strengths, right? Well, I think he's smart with the football. He only has 2 interceptions and 251 attempts. That's pretty damn good, especially playing in the conference he plays against. And before we talk about the light schedule in 2023, the games that he played in 2022, I think it was Auburn, South Carolina, LSU, right? Ole Miss. He played against some good SEC opponents and didn't throw any interceptions in 2022. So he's smart with the football. He's able to process the defense from pre-snap to post-snap. So I think that's there are a lot of good things that Jimbo put on Weigman. Even though Jimbo's offense didn't work out or Jimbo's tenure didn't work out. But I think if you look at the film, his ability to read defenses pre-snap to post-snap is probably because Jimbo was able to coach him up on that, right? So he's able to process the defense. That's what helps him take care of the football. In relation to the above point, what we just talked about, nearly 80% of his dropbacks were without the use of play action. So that tells me that a lot of times quarterbacks have to use play action, especially younger quarterbacks, to get defense out of position or to help them read defenses. Weigman's dropping straight back without using play action and just processing the defense. I think that's pretty impressive for a young quarterback, right? He showed his ability to improve. He's an underrated athlete. His ability to throw from any arm slot, off any arm angle. And then something else that was impressive, again, for a young quarterback, is his ability against the blitz. So he was blitzed 60% of his passes, and of the being blitzed 60% of the time of him throwing, he had 8 touchdowns, only 1 pick. So you combine that with 80% of his passes are straight drop back passes and not using play action, and 60% of his passes are the blitz. That means he's dropping straight back, no play action, reading the blitz, processing what's going on, and being able to deliver the ball to the right person, or at least not to the wrong person, right, against the blitz. So I think these are all strengths of Weigman and something that Klein will be able to build on. What are his improvement areas, or some question marks? And I think it's fair to have questions because he's only played in 7 games, 8 games, whatever it may be. So I still want to see Weigman take some more shots downfield. He's got the arm strength and the ability to do it. And even though Klein's offense didn't showcase that a ton last year, I think with a quarterback like Weigman, Klein is going to open that up, and I want to see Weigman take more shots. We saw some of it last year in 2023. I want to see more of it, right? How is he going to play against top defenses? I think that's a fair question because we just don't know. Last year was it like New Mexico and ULM? Where is it? I have it somewhere. Yeah, ULM and New Mexico. He had a ton of success pushing the ball downfield. And then against Miami was his, I guess, worst game last year. I still think he played better than given credit for. But I still think it's a fair question. How will he play against top defenses? And then can he play a full season to see his potential? Because I think we need a full season to see his potential. If he gets a full season, I think Weigman's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in a really good SEC quarterback league this year. So what's the outlook for 2024? Again, like I talked about before, people a lot smarter than me are high on Weigman, but I think there's a few games that stand out. So maybe let's go through the schedule real quick. Because if Weigman's healthy, if he can maximize Klein's offense, I think A&M has a shot to surprise some people. If they get 9 wins, they're maybe looking at a playoff berth, right? If they get 10, I think they're definitely in, right? Maybe I shouldn't say definitely, but it's highly likely they're in. And they have a favorable schedule by A&M standards, not by A&M standards, excuse me, by SEC standards right now. Like if you compare Florida's schedule and Arkansas' schedule, right? All right, so you open up with Notre Dame. I think it'd be huge to get Notre Dame to get that win, especially at home to start the football season. But the big games that stick out to me is that Notre Dame game at home in week 1. And then let's see, a few weeks down the road, beginning of October, you got Mizzou at home. Then a few weeks after that, you have LSU at home. And then you have Texas at home. Now that's a big rivalry, right? So how much will home field advantage play in that game? Don't know, but it's going to be crazy, right? Especially coming from a Texan. So your 4 biggest games, in my opinion, are all at home. Texas at home, LSU at home, Mizzou at home, and Notre Dame at home. So I think that bodes well. So I think for Weigman, I think for that outlook, you take that to your advantage. You're able to get comfortable. You're at home. You don't have to travel. You can stay in it and build on the next steps. I think that bodes favorably for not just A&M, but for Weigman's play. If Weigman plays good, A&M is going to be really good this year. Some slip-up games, I don't think you want to sleep on Florida. I don't think you play at Florida. That's week 3. That could be a slip-up game. You want to avoid slip-up games. You got Arkansas, September 28th. I know A&M is the home team in that one, but it's in Jerry World, right? So it's kind of a neutral field, I believe. Those are slip-up games, in my opinion. You got South Carolina. Auburn is going to be a tough game in Auburn. I think this has, even though they have the playing their 4 toughest games at home, there are several slip-up games on the road that I think will be challenging. And I think, we'll be able to see the potential on display for Conner Weigman, right? So just to recap everything, I want to see how he's going to play against top defenses. I want to see his full potential based on a whole season. I want to see him take some more shots down. Feel he's got the strength, has the ability. And I think when you combine Weigman with Klein's offense, you have potential to maximize each other's ability. Again, I say potential because it sounds good in theory, but it all has to happen on the field. So A&M fans or just college football fans, quarterback fans, what are your thoughts on Weigman? Where do you think his improvement area lies? Where do you think his strength is? And what's the outlook for 2024? Let me know what you want to see from Weigman, from the team. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It does help the channel grow. We got a lot of good just quarterback content coming y'all's way for the college football season. So again, like, share, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you next time. Peace.